So as usual, this is an interactive session, so we will have the text with us and we'll read together. Dr. Yamina will be leading the study, and you are most welcome to join in with your comments and questions. So here we go, inshallah. Bismillah. I think last time we read this metaphor, this metaphorical story about two men going for a. They were both given money to do the business for their boss. The first one was given a very small amount of money. So one of them was given only 20 gold pieces, and then was asked to get a suit of clothes, just a suit, a good suit. And he went and he purchased that clothing, and very good brand, very good quality, and he was done. And the other one was given 1,000 gold pieces, and he went ahead and did the same as the other servant, just went and got some clothes, and it ended up being worse quality. He failed, the second servant failed to read the instructions that were given to him on a piece of paper. He just copied the other servant who was only given 20 gold pieces, whereas he was himself given 1,000 pieces. So we read that, and we were, starting to unpack what does that mean for our lives. Is there anybody else who wants to? Sorry for the clumsy summary, but is there anyone else who would like to share anything from last class?
Assalamu alaikum.
No.
I have a question.
Yes, Jalila.
These 6 steps, are they 6 varieties of worshiping, or are they 6 progressions?
Yeah, that's a good question. So you're referring to what we did a bit earlier, right? And then after that 6, now he is going to offer 9 things, but basically these, yeah. But Dr. Yamina, you're welcome to unmute.
The reason why I ask is because you can spend like a year on the first step, as well as any of the steps. Which is okay, because as you're learning, it's not like a mastery. It's all a progression, and it's forever a progression. I just wanted to know, are we looking at it like step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Or are we looking at it like you can't go to 2 before you finish 1, or you should master 1 before you go to 2, or it's good to know them all and attempt them all? And then, like you said, there's other steps after those 6 steps. So I'm just.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.
When we reflected on those 6 steps, we primarily saw them as progression of a state of being in the presence of God and being connected to oneself, and therefore to one's ubudiyya, and therefore to our getting to know God as our Rabb more and more, being aware of his rububiyyah. Now, in practice, even when we go from 1 to 2 to 3, it does not mean that once we are in 3, we never go back to 1. However, when I am at 1, there is only 1 for me. But when I am at 2, there is 1 and 2. But that 2 is now different. The first step is different than the first step of someone who never experienced 2 and 3. The 2, 3, or however much your consciousness is opened up, that kind of mi'raj, that kind of ascension, that kind of cultivating that awareness, that ihsan, that living in the presence of God, it's going to have an effect, of course, impact the first step as well. The first step is going to be experienced in a different way, at a different level. So it's not like once you are in 2, you never go to 1, because 1 is also part of the way we interact with the world. But if you are someone who experienced 6, your 1, each time the 1 is going to be more profound.
Thank you. I think I have it. It's like the Quran was revealed in 23 years. It doesn't mean you never go back to Iqra. I get it. Thank you.
Exactly. Yes. Alhamdulillah. And maybe here, before, maybe someone can tell us what's the context of this parable here. Sorry, the second parable of the 2 people with each 20 gold.
No, one of them.
One, yeah, okay. One has more gold than the other. It's a comparison between human being and other animals. And this is because, you remember, in the Quran, people who deny or who are unaware of the signs of God, of the ayat, it means they are unaware of the meaning and purpose of the creation, we are told that they are like animals. Actually, they are worse because they were not created to be animals. Animals are created to be animals, they're fine. But when you have been created for another purpose and you don't, and you want to live like an animal, then it becomes worse. Actually, those passages are very, very, as far as I remember, one is in Surah 7, Surah Al-A'raf, and the other one is, I think, Surah 24 or 25. And both of them are related to the being aware or unaware of the ayat in the creation. And in Surah 7, it is related to the famous ayah 180 of Surah Al-A'raf that says that the most beautiful names belong to God alone. So before that, it talks about al-ghafilun, those who are in ghafla, and they are described as being worse than animals because they have hearts with which they don't reason and things, and so on and so forth. We can go back to those passages if there is need. So the whole thing here, if you remember in a few pages before this, it was the aim of the creation was meaning. And so why the role and the function of the prophet is so essential, it's because he is the one, or for us it's Muhammad ﷺ, peace be and blessings be upon him, but the prophets, therefore prophethood is important because they represent the conscious human being who responds to the purpose of creation, who responds to the meaning of creation, who understands and read the signs and therefore appreciate them. And so remember we talked about, weren't it for them, the creation would have no meaning. It's like you write this wonderful book, but no one understands it. So it's as though the book did not exist. So there were two, the prophet and the believers, because the believers are those who, the heirs of the prophets, and therefore they follow in the same path and they appreciate the purpose and the meaning of creation. And so that the creation is not only the creation out there, but also our own creation. So this is the context that's going on here. And those 6 steps were the 6 steps of the believer and how they get to truly appreciate the meaning of the creation, which is really the signs are pointing to the most beautiful names of God. They are making God known to us, or in another way, God is revealing himself to us, making himself known. So if we don't respond meaningfully, and therefore as a result appreciatively, it's like, can you imagine God making himself known and we don't care? So this is the second group. Now there is another, the second metaphor is not looking at the world out there, but he's saying even your own creation, you have been created to answer with to me, like I don't feel any connection. No, this is saying, no, you also have been created to fit the meaning and the purpose of the creation. And when you are not, then you are going astray away from your own fitrah, from the way you are created. You are not fulfilling the purpose of your life. And so even in a very mundane way, if someone is still not interested in God or in akhirah or anything otherworldly, even if you're truly only focused on self-fulfillment, still this is the only path. So inshallah we can go back and read the metaphor. Before the metaphor on page 139, it's saying there are 2 aims. Oh, my senseless soul and foolish friend, you suppose your life's duty is restricted to following the good life according to, okay, it means here the good life, but according to the requisites of civilization. It means this civilization is a civilization that is not based on otherworldly values. It is not based on knowing God. It's not God-centered. It is ego-centered, I-centered. So it's not like we are not here for good life. The true good life is not this, actually. This is a deception. So he says good life according to this predominant civilization, which is totally, even the Christian values have been emptied of their sacred meanings and their sacred values, and those values have been totally so much disconnected that they became like, okay, they're not really grounding values anymore, because what was grounding them was that connection to God and to the eternal realm. And that's why he says to gratifying the physical appetites, because you are not primarily a physical being. I am not my body. The body keeps changing, and so the body is part of who I am, like your home or your car or your clothes are parts of you, but it's a tool. It's a very how do you say? It's a blessing, but you cannot identify with it. And so he's saying that because in this civilization we are expected to, or people interact as if you are primarily the physical being, maybe a little bit emotional and thoughts, but there is something in me that is aware of my thoughts keeps changing, and I'm aware of their change. I can be aware at least, and so are my feelings and emotions. So it can't be me if it keeps changing. It is part, but it's like the thoughts and feelings keep coming through me. So who is that me? It can't be just the body. The body is a recipient. It's like yeah, it's a recipient of that, but it's a tool. It is not who we are. And so do you suppose the sole aim of the delicate and subtle senses, the sensitive faculties and member, the well-ordered limbs and systems, the inquisitive feelings and senses included in the machine of your life, is restricted to satisfying the low desires of the base soul? Because actually, the more, even when we are unaware, even if you get everything you think you want, because it feels like if I have all those things, I will be fulfilled. It doesn't take years and years of actually running after an aim, and then it doesn't work, and then I realize that it's not truly fulfilling. You can just sit and close your eyes and imagine. Imagination is also a tool given to us for Budhia. And we can imagine ourselves, if I had everything I wanted, but there was no true meaning, no akhirah, no purpose, we would still feel empty, and totally dissatisfied. And so is this life, he says, restricted to restricted because when you are aware, when someone lives with ihsan and aware of his ubudiyah, he is still going to eat and drink and go around and do things like everyone else, but in a much more in a wise way, in a balanced way. And actually, even if you don't go to extremes, because when someone is not connected to meaning and purpose, there is that greed, that dissatisfaction, that looking for happiness and satisfaction and fulfillment in the thing themselves, which is impossible. There is always that dissatisfaction, that and therefore that anxiety, what's going on, because deep down we know that other things cannot help us. But the one who is a muhsin, who has that iman, who knows God with his most beautiful names, who knows therefore God as Rabb, and therefore he is aware of his ubudiyah. He's being totally dependent on his Rabb. So that person looks for fulfillment from his Rabb. And so when he drinks the water in the name of God, he is aware that this lifeless water cannot give me life. But lo and behold, someone is giving me life through this lifeless water. So that interaction, that drinking that has no meaning for the other becomes, it's a time of joy. It's a time of celebrating the miracles of God. It's a time of remembering God as and witnessing God is the giver of life. My Rabb is giving me life, is sustaining my life through something seemingly unrelated. Subhanallah. And we go through the 6 steps.
Mm-hmm.
And that it gives, it's not only, yes, you are taking care of your physical need, but at the same time, it is not disconnected or unrelated to our emotional need, spiritual need, akhirah needs. That experience is multi-dimensional, multi-layered, and it's an opportunity to grow and mature in ubudiyah, in ibadah, in awareness, in ihsan, in living in the presence of God, in seeing that a small plate of food or a glass of water is an extremely meaningful and valuable and sacred gift of God. It is a messenger from God. It is speaking about God. It is an ayah, and interacting and feeling the connection, the brotherhood and sisterhood of all the creation. They are all here to make my journey on this earth easier, my journey onto God. It's not a journey in time or in space. It's a journey, let's say, upward, just to metaphorically. It's a journey of the soul, because the other one is even an animal grows older and passes away. And so here, the passing away, the transience is the key to wake up to the meaninglessness of identifying with the physical world. And that's why he says, the low desires of the base souls in this fleeting life, because deep down, the fact that everything is fleeting is like a huge attack. It opens a huge wound within us, and that's why usually what we do, we delve in ghafla even more and more, because we don't want that wound to be reopened. But unless we face it and clean that wound, it's not going to be healed. And so we have to face the reality that this life is transient, it is passing, it is fleeting. And then he says there are 2 main aims in the creation.
And doesn't that somewhat summarize all the 6 stations that went above? Because, 2 basic things. One, to taste different blessings, whether it's food or friendship or all these different kinds of blessings, to be grateful and worship through that. And then second is to see beautiful names of God in them, through yourself, like all of that. But it's 2 basic ways of being in the world.
You are now mentioning the 2 aims, the first and the second, right?
Yeah. Isn't that summarizing?
Yes.
I said before about what it means to be human. That a genuine human being is to, with all these tool set, as you said, these tool set cannot be just for the basic aim of continuing life, eating, drinking, discarding the waste, and then reproducing. And
that's what other animals do as well.
Yeah, and I think there is an increasingly not increasing necessarily, but there is that popular view that we are a kind of an animal, a bit more smarter than, quite a bit smarter, but we're animals at the end of the day. And then they also talk about, other creatures, monkeys or other creatures, they have emotions too, and they get sad and they get happy and so on. So as if all of these facts are going to tell us that we should be doing what the animals are doing. Animals are, taking care of their needs and living and dying, and that's that. And one way to respond to this, and I really like, he's not just saying top down, he's saying like, look at yourself, because that's the Quranic approach. The Quran doesn't say this is how it is because we said so. We say so, and you look, and these are the reasons. So how could it be that you have so subtle senses, right? Animals have a variety of abilities, but they don't have the sensitive scales, right? I mean, you give the dog its food, it doesn't mind, this is not the best plate, or this is, this is not, sophisticated enough, or you
more about how it tastes, and that's it.
Yeah, so they have a range of taste, but ours is much more richer than other animals. And maybe I shared this before. When I was back many years ago in medical school, one of my professors, she said, it's strange that we have this taste, that we can taste so many different things. We have 4 basic tastes, and then with, in our tongue, and then we taste a lot of combinations through them, many, many different combinations of taste, which other animals don't have. And she said, I don't understand why, because for survival, you just need to know whether it's poisonous or not. It's good for you or not. So all of this sophistication in taste, evolution made a mistake or something. She just, they talk about this.
And also not only the taste, but how we feel about it.
And colors and the art. She also said art, like why do human beings make art? Much more than other animals. And so maybe every evolution is a black box, so they throw everything there. So maybe it had a use or something. She just made up something. But basically, we can't be reduced to taking care of our basic needs and running around and then just accepting death at the end. Animals seem to be doing that, but actually they are also servants. In the story, they represent the servant who received 20 gold pieces and was told to go get the suit, and it went to a good shop and get a very high quality, highest grade of cloth and put it on. So animals are doing what they are called to do, and they are given whatever contentment, whatever fulfillment in their context. But the problem is the other servant who wasn't given 20 gold coins like the other one, it was given 1,000 gold coins, and was also giving it instruction. So that instruction is something that's embedded in our fitrah, and also the prophets remind us of it. So for us to ignore that, I think last time someone said that this is the most striking part of the story. The other servant just looks at the other one. He said, I saw him, went to a shop, bought some clothes, I'm going to do the same. But you were given much more, and he can't even get the same quality. And that's something Imam Nursi talks about elsewhere as well, that you can't be as happy as a bird. Even because you're human, you're given all these tools, you have...
Human means we have a sense of the past, the future, we have a sense of meaning and purpose, and so we have fears about the future, all these things. If there is no meaning, no purpose, no answers, we have questions, and so we don't have answers. Live in that fear, those fears, those anxieties will never leave us, because that's not what we were created for, and this is what this parable is for. And that's why he starts with the 2 aims, which is the aims of he's talking about the aim of the creation and the aims of your own creation. Why you've been created with so many sophisticated faculties, unlike other beings. So I think maybe we can, the first, he says, consists of making known to you all the varieties. And how do I know all the varieties? For instance, even in food, because we've been given not only a tongue and a brain and a whole system that can identify all these tastes and colors and smells, but also they are also related to our feelings and emotions. The fact that we like something, what does it mean you like something and you like it, you become happy? And the fact that we have a memory, and so we associate some taste with some situations, like a certain cake or a certain fresh baked bread or something with a childhood. And so we have this nostalgia for that particular food. This is very sophisticated. It can't be just to feed your body. It's something much more is going on here. So he says the first is making known to you all the varieties of the true bestower of blessings. Who is giving you these blessings? This is why you are given all. It can't be the things themselves. And as a result, you are supposed to, causing you, not only you are supposed to, we are actually being made to answer with thanks and gratitude. We are grateful, we are happy, we do appreciate those beautiful things that we crave or long for in our life. So that's already being taken care of. Being aware of that and acknowledging that fact is what distinguishes the believer from, or the conscious believer from the unconscious, either believer / disbeliever. And so you should be aware, you see? You should be aware, because the first, he's created all kinds of varieties. He's given us all the kinds of abilities and faculties. We are made to be grateful, not necessarily to God, but when we are in ghafla, when we, let's say something easy, we eat something you really like, and you say, oh, and then we say, Alhamdulillah. But actually, that Alhamdulillah is not related to God. I don't know God as the giver, the gifter of this, as the creator, not only of the gift, whatever made me feel that way, but also the feeling within me is also created. I did not make it. I don't get to decide. If I got to decide, why should I bother cooking? I would just make it that I eat a piece of cucumber and be very happy then. It doesn't work that way. It's not under our control. And so when we are unaware, even when we say Alhamdulillah, that hand does not really go to God truly. It goes as much as we are truly aware. And then he says, you should be aware of this and offer thanks and to him. So him is important here. When I'm aware, I become aware that it's the more I'm aware, the more that feeling of gratitude is redirected, not to the things themselves, to the blessing, but to the gifter, the bestower of the blessing. The blessing becomes even more meaningful, more sacred, because the blessing now became for me the mirror, the sign, the messenger, and we are having a connection with that messenger that is telling us, and the messenger is activated through my self-awareness, that the awareness of my feelings as well, because the feelings are not disconnected from what is out there. The more I'm aware, the more I'm aware of all these connections. And so offer thanks to him and worship him. Worship it's not something that God needs, something that I need, because worship means not only I appreciate him, but and acknowledge him as the source of all the most beautiful names, the source of all what I need, and therefore I ask for help from him alone. Who is benefiting from this transaction, from this relationship? It's us. God does not need it, and he is sending to us, revealing to us the Quran, sending to us the prophets, revealing himself in the creation out and inward, making everything clear signs to all these truths and realities is all for our benefit. It's all rahmah, it's all healing. And the second aim is to make known to you. Yes?
Can we continue where we left off? I think he's going to talk more about this in more detail.
Oh, okay. But I just wanted to, we can just read it and then go, you mean after the parable?
Yeah, after the parable, it's unpacking more.
So let's just read it without comment. The second aim is to make known to you by means of your faculties all the sorts of the manifestations of the sacred divine names manifested in the world and to cause you to experience them. So this is back to the 6 steps. And you, by recognizing them, by recognizing the most beautiful names, through experiencing them, not through memorizing them, through experiencing them, you should come to believe in them. Only then we would truly believe in God. We cannot believe in God if we don't know who God is. Okay, so now, shall we have someone to read? Oh, my soul and my friends.
Yeah.
38, 140, inshallah.
Mm-hmm. Who would like to read?
Anyone, inshallah, volunteers.
I can read, inshallah. O my soul and my friend, come to your senses. Do not spend the capital and potentialities of your life on pleasures of the flesh and this fleeting life, like an animal or even lower. Otherwise, although you're 50 times superior with regard to capital than the highest animal, you will fall 50 times lower than the lowest. O my heedless soul, if you want to understand to a degree both the aim of your life and its nature, and the form of your life, and the true meaning of your life, and its perfect happiness, then look. The summary of the aims of your life consists of 9 matters. The first is this: to weigh up on the scales of the senses put in your being the bounties stored up in the treasuries of divine mercy, and to offer universal thanks. The second, to open with the keys of the faculties placed in your nature the hidden treasuries of the sacred divine names. The third, to consciously display and make known through your life in the view of the creatures in this exhibition of the world, the wondrous arts and subtle manifestations which the divine names have attached to you. The fourth, to proclaim your worship to the court of the Creator's Dominicality, verbally and through the tongue of your disposition. The fifth, like on ceremonial occasions, a soldier wears all the decorations he has received from his king, and through appearing before him, displays the marks of his favor towards him. This is to consciously adorn yourself in the jewels of the subtle senses which the manifestations of the divine names have given you, and to appear in the observant view of the pre-eternal witness. The sixth, to consciously observe the salutations of living beings to their Creator, known as the manifestations of life, and their glorifications of their Maker, known as the signs of life, and their worship of the bestower of life, known as the aims of life. And by reflecting on them to see them, and through testifying to them to display them. The 7th. Through taking as units of measurements the small samples of attributes, like the partial knowledge, power, and will given to your life, it's to know through those measures the absolute attributes and sacred qualities of the all-glorious Creator. For example, since through your partial power, knowledge, and will, you have made your house in well-ordered fashion, you should know that the maker of the palace of the world is its disposer, and powerful, knowing, and wise, to the degree it is greater than your house. The 8th. To understand the words concerning the Creator's unity and Maker's Dominicality uttered by each of the beings in the world in its particular tongue. The 9th. To understand through your impotence and weakness, your poverty and need, the degrees of the divine power and dominical riches. Just as the pleasure and degrees and varieties of food are understood through the degrees of hunger and the sorts of need, so you should understand the degrees of the infinite divine power and riches through your infinite impotence and poverty. The aims of your life, then briefly, are matters like these.
Shall we pause here, Yamina?
Yeah.
Inshallah. So now these 9 matters are not new degrees, steps beyond the 6 steps. They are looking at the matter from another perspective.
Maybe a more detailed list.
But it's also looking at it from how you respond, the meaning, and it says the aims of your life. And because here it's not only what you are witnessing, but also how you are processing and how you process them, and how you respond.
So just so I can clarify, so the 6 steps of progressions that Jalila mentioned earlier, that's sort of showing like a ladder, maybe not a ladder, but maybe something more circular, but steps of the hal of the person, the state of being, and how that develops over time, and in a circular but also progressive, more like a spiral going up, the way that we continue to grow. And this is more focused on how the human being experiences meaning in order to sort of rise up, maybe?
It's not unrelated, but it's just looking at it from another aspect.
All right, so let's start with the first. So we are the second servant. We are looking at our 1,000 coins, which represents all the subtle faculties and sophisticated physical, spiritual makeup that we have. So what are we supposed to do with this? Not just eat, drink, survive.
20, you can use 20 for that. You will have to, but not the whole thousands.
Yeah.
You will be foolish and you will be cheated because if someone sees that you're using all this just for that.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't even get the best, like here in the metaphor, the best suit even.
Yeah, that's why, in the attempt to be just like animals, we can't be just like animals. So our level of happiness or fulfillment isn't ever the same as a bird or as a monkey, because they are fulfilling what they was given to them, and there is some sort of fulfillment that they feel, conscious or unconscious, that comes to them. But to us, if you go and try to spend that all of that on just seeking base, he called that base desires. And it's interesting, and maybe we can unpack it as we go along, but just to put it out there, it's interesting. This isn't a tension between physical versus spiritual, or this world versus the other world. It's more about being two ways of being in the world, and two ways.
Definitely.
Tasting the water. You taste the water, because you want to survive, so you have to drink water. And then there's another way of drinking water, which is you're surviving through this water, but then this water, through drinking this water, you're also doing all this 6 or 9 things that fulfills your nature. So this is very important, because people
not either or, and it's not you drink water just like a cat, or like an animal, or like a disbeliever, and then you sandwich it between Bismillah and Alhamdulillah, but you really don't know what the relationship is, and you say God gave us this water, Alhamdulillah. Okay, so that Alhamdulillah is just a shell still, or a seed. It's a seed.
Thanks to the person who sells you a bottle of water. Thanks. That kind. So our gratitude is not meant to stay in that level. So inshallah. So with that, let's look at the first one. And please, everyone and anyone, you're welcome to share what you understand.
We start there. But if we are stuck there, it becomes. If we're satisfied with staying there forever, if we think that's sufficient, then okay, like there will always be inside our heart that deep feeling of dissatisfaction, and also of uncertainty, that we can't have yaqeen when we live that way.
And even the thanks is not the same, right? I mean, when I say thanks to the person who hands me a bottle of water, I pay, the cashier hands me the item I purchased, I said thanks to her. It's not the same thanks, because when you say, well, you gave me water to the creator, well, it's completely different than a cashier handing you over, or somebody, bring me water from the kitchen, somebody brings you a glass of water. That person did not create the water, doesn't create your interaction with the water. So even that thanks, right? I mean, it's radically different.
Of course. That's why I said it's like a shell, because it has no, or let's say in a more positive, optimistic way, inshallah, it's a seed, but that seed needs to be cultivated and nourished. So it grows and bears fruit, inshallah. And the fruits are going to be not only in Akhirah, it has to be here as well, because if there is no witnessing, how come? I don't know God, there's no witnessing, but I hope in Akhirah. There is no hope in Akhirah in the Quran, certainty in Akhirah. And it's repeated not only once, it's not only in Surah Al-Baqarah.
So we weigh up on the scales of our senses the bounty.
I think it's more general.
The bounty stored up in the treasures of divine mercy, and we offer universal thanks. Or that's the aim of our lives.
Now we are not still in touch really with what's going on. The second one, there is the keys of the faculties. Here they're not keys yet. It feels more like scales, in the sense that you find yourself appreciating things. But what is important is that it is a blessing from the treasury of divine mercy. It means somehow we are present. This is everyone, every believer at the beginning starts here. You are present to the sense that this is something divine, something of divine origin, something that is not just from the water, the food, the world, the things themselves. However, usually we do not stay in that feeling long enough. We just pass by and say, Alhamdulillah, very, very good. But in this path, we are going to, when we have that sense of awe, that awe, we have to milk it. We have to milk it in the sense that don't just pass by, as we are told in the Quran, you just pass by the ayat quickly. No, it says take them seriously. This is something is going on here. Something that is attracting my attention, something that is calling, like tugging at me. So I answer the call. And answer the call, I pause, I stay there, and I just listen. I listen, I feel, I internalize. And the more I stay there, it will be revealed onto me. I will realize that something is going on, something inside me, unbeknown to me, outside of my control, something is going on that will take me to step two, the second, inshallah.
Now, in terms of an example for universal things, so let's say breathing, air is a blessing, and I sense this through breathing, and how, when I'm short of breath, when I run, or other situations.
Or you're like in a suffocating place, and then suddenly you go out. Oh,
yeah,
alhamdulillah.
New place is stuffy. So then so with my skills that has been stored up in me, this toolbox, I'm able to enjoy and be grateful for the blessing of air. Then how do I move to universal things? Do I think of all the other?
But just a second, there is one step. It's not only everyone will. You don't have to be a believer to appreciate the blessing of the air. But here, the believer is aware, acknowledges that something, treasury of divine mercy. This is a mercy, this is divine, this is something otherworldly, let's say, in the sense that it is not of this world. Not, I don't mean in akhirah, after, because we have this, we think of akhirah as after, whereas akhirah is not after. Akhirah is here now, parallel to this world, but here I'm using it in the sense that it is not of this world. Something very special is going on here.
It's coming from
exactly
mercy.
It's not coming from the things, it's not coming from me, it's coming from what we call divine mercy.
And by the way, this is a Quranic phrase, right? Khaza'in al-Rahmah.
Rahmatillah.
Yeah. So this treasures, this treasure has a sense of, unending, precious and unending khaza'in of divine mercy. Just as a kind of, on a lighter but a related note, while at some point there was this pizza that we ordered, the pizza company, I don't remember which one, which is not important, on the, maybe some of you also saw this, on the pizza box, they had the sign, like they had the 3 cows, and they had given the cows names, maybe Mary or Jane or something. We are grateful to our cows for the cheese. Like, don't thank us, thank the cows, or something like this. The pizza company, their cheese.
How about the wheat?
Cheese is extremely important, but the cows. That is. So then the person is grateful for the cheese and the milk, but to the cows.
To the
cows, so you cows are producing this for us, so we are grateful to the cows. So then if we do this, we're not even in the first step. The first step is tasting these things and seeing that these are coming from this eternal treasure of divine mercy, to be grateful to that, and to offer universal thanks. How is universal thanks? Is it because there's so much to be thankful for? So
I wonder what the original word is.
I have it here. 1 second. Senin vücudunda konulan duygular terazileriyle rahmet ilahiyenin hazinelerinde iddihar edilen nimetleri tartmaktır ve külli şükretmektir.
Külli, it means here, not juz'i, it means generally. Like, thank you, but it's not like specific yet, I understand. Don't you think so? Not particular. Well, you can say universal.
Because even for breathing, you can't say, I would like to thank for the following 1,000 breaths that I have taken today. Like you can't, like even for breathing, it has to be a kulli one, all the breaths in the past and the future and myself and other creatures. So it can be seen in that way. So this is our first. How about the second? Anyone? The text is in front of us, so give it a try.
Now it's becoming more, it's not scales, but it's a key. Scale, and you find that it's already working, but the key is not the same. We have been given the key. The key is actually, we find the key is with us, but lots of people, most of the time, we're not aware that we have the key. And so we don't use it. So the difference is, in the first one, the scale tends to, as soon as you put something on the scale is going to move. But the key is not the same. The key, you need to make a decision. You have to make a choice. You have to, and therefore you have to first be aware that you have a key and you want to open something with it. And the key here is the key of the faculties. So now we become aware of our faculties have a meaning. They are fulfilling a role placed in your nature. And you open with that, you open the hidden treasuries of the second sacred divine names. Now, before it was general, it was the treasuries of divine mercy. Now it became more specific. And it was really, it was not about being in touch with the nature of the divine mercy, but of feeling there is more mercy here, more, here it's different. From 1 to 2, there is a huge breakthrough. Do you feel that? In the second step, the journey of ihsan starts. However, to go from the first to the second is when we don't take the first for granted. When we reflect on the first, reflecting here is not cogitation, trying to understand, because we don't want to add our own, impose our own made up understanding and stories about what's going on. We want to avoid that. But when we are in the presence of what's going on, then we start receiving and we start being made, we are caused to become aware that something in me is appreciating this, what's going on. So it's not only something is going on in the outer world, but there is something in me that is responding, and that's what makes this experience possible. And that's when we become aware of the role of our faculties as keys. And when we start using those keys, lo and behold, we start finding that what seemed like general treasuries of divine mercy, and it is divine mercy, because all the beautiful names of God, from a perspective, it is mercy. Wisdom is mercy, knowledge is mercy, safety is mercy, love is mercy, all of them, because everything we need and we long for is divine mercy and compassion. It's under that umbrella.
But punishment isn't what we look forward to. I mean,
when you are wronged, justice, you mean?
You mean yes, but when I am wronged, yes. I don't want.
It's not about punishment. It's about justice. Because if it's someone is punished unjustly, we don't like it. And also, it's not only when I'm wronged. Even looking back, if there is no justice and therefore no just law and punishment, then we would go wild and there would be chaos. And it's not only bad at the society level, but at the individual level as well. So it is actually helping us in our growth.
And sometimes you even are grateful for being punished. Like I'm glad that I paid that fine for that negligence, or I'm, except for the traffic violation ones, but but there are moments I'm saying where you feel like, you transgressed, and then a consequence came to that was negative, and then you look back and actually that was good that I was given a negative consequence for it. We have that as well. So then that could be an example too, right? The keys. It's a key in me. There's something in me that appreciates justice, as an example. And if I'm really honest, I appreciate it even when it is against me. In my more selfish or kind of short-sighted moments, I don't like it when it's against me. But in more calmer and more honest moments, I even like justice when it's against me. That I've done a mistake and I had a consequence for it. And you look back, that was fair and that was good, actually.
It's part of the repenting. You see, third is, shall we just go on?
Yeah.
Anyone? Third is to consciously display. So now it is, remember we always say, act Bismillah. I am made to act what I know. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana. Glory be unto you. We only know what you have taught us, what you make us know. In Arabic, it's like to teach is literally to make know. So here to consciously display, for instance, let's say, typical classic example, easy to understand. You see someone in need and you help. Usually we think this is good enough because I was told to help the needy, I'm helping the needy. Yeah, but that's also put in your fitra. So being a human being, even animals help actually. They help other animals and they help even human beings sometimes. And they are loyal to the one who helped them. Even animals that we think are not domestic animals. So there is more to the Quranic divine guidance than just help. Helping is good because it is within the fitra. That's how we are created. But consciously helping, it means when I'm helping, I am aware that I am displaying the names of God that are flowing through me. God is the helper, He's the compassionate, He's the generous, He's the provider. And so I found that I am also created with that urge. I also have the need to help. When I don't help, when I could, I don't feel, I'm made to not feel well. I feel guilty, I feel, until I forget it. But deep down, there is something that tells me you should have helped. So how is it? So, I have the freedom to choose but I'm being urged, I have that strong inclination from the fitra, from the creation, to actually fulfill that command, that order to help. Now, in the fitra, in the creation, human beings, let's say we're talking about human beings, we are told to help. And when we help, we are so happy. But as a believer here, the creation of all that, the purpose and meaning of all that is to consciously display, make known, second, through your life, in the view of the creature, in this exhibition of the world, the wondrous arts and the subtle manifestations which the divine names has attached to you. You've been given, for instance, wealth, so you can give to someone. That wealth is the manifestation of some names have been attached to you. So you benefit from it, and benefiting from it is not only using, but also sharing and helping. So other names are, just I'm being helped. I say, yes, I am being helped. God is the helper, it's not me. God is the wealthy, is not me. And so when the best way to confirm and experience that reality is to help the other. And while I'm consciously displaying, I am making known that God is the helper, God is the provider. Because I'm displaying his name. I am acting in his name, not in my name. Therefore, I'm making him known. And remember, in the first part, the whole creation, the purpose of the creation is to make him known. And that's why the prophets are so important, their role is so important, because they consciously understand that purpose and they fulfill it and make him known. And the second aim was the believers who follow in the path of the prophets. And so here, the third is very, very important. It's the internalizing. There is no way I get to 3 if second is only information. Second is not an information, it's a hal, it's a state of being. It's a knowing, a certainty, that's who I am. I am actively using the faculties, I'm actively experiencing the hidden treasures of the sacred divine names. I'm not just drinking water. When I'm drinking water, I'm experiencing al-hayy, al-muhyi, the living, the giver of life. And so now I can consciously, aware, consciously, all these things are very important. It's the opposite of ghafla. Ghafla is, I could be helping the others, which is better than someone who doesn't. However, I'm helping the others, but I think I am the helper. I'm not in 3. It means I'm not even in 2.
And those things.
There is one point here. It's not necessarily that people are, if you are not in 2 or 3, that you have a bad, people have no intention. It's probably lots of people, they're not even aware, they don't know about this path. But this is the path that is taught in the Quran, and that is taught through the Prophet ﷺ. And so usually it's because we don't, I'm talking about Muslims now, we don't feel the need. We think the Prophet ﷺ himself spent 23 years, 24/7 receiving this message, but the foolish me think that I have the whole Quran revealed, it's there. It's there, but that's not Quran for me. That's Mus'haf, that's the Codex. It has not been revealed unto me. it will be revealed to the extent that I am open to receive the message and to act on it, to follow its guidance. Here we are following the guidance, and we can maybe read the first 7-8 verses of the Surah Al-Shams, and you will see how much it is related to this.
Dr. Yamina, we have someone who raised her hand for a while.
Sure, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Back to the second, and I just love these conversations. It feels like a gift, another gift, like a gift upon a gift. And you just mentioned very casually, Akira is here now, parallel to this world. And that I said in my mind, ha ha ha. They are really certain about Akira to be speaking about it so casually, like it's like, oh yeah, it's just right here, parallel to this world. And I was like, okay, so it is certain. But we were also looking at, I want you to speak on faculties, because when we think about our human faculties, we might just be thinking about the five senses. And somewhere I heard the five senses is, it might have been from you, Dr. Yamina, I don't know, that the five senses are like one sense, that we actually have other faculties that need to be developed and first of all aware of, especially something that would make us aware that Acura is here now, parallel to this world. What are these faculties? How many faculties? What are these keys? Thank you.
Thank you. Very meaningful, profound question. Anyone would like to? I mean, we've been talking about faculties, our faculties for so long, so maybe some of you want to share?
I can share what comes to me.
Sure.
Since this is my heavy homework. What comes to my mind with faculties is yeah, Jalila, when you were talking about akhira and like what are all these things, like it's definitely beyond five senses. We have endless feelings that are literally tearing us in different directions nonstop, 24/7, all the day. So we notice that we have just feelings, and even people want to say energy, just we're getting pulled in so many different directions nonstop. And many times when we are being pulled, there's a lack of awareness. We're just kind of being taken in different, just being taken. And I like what Dr. Yamina said about open with the keys. So to open means I have to now consciously choose something. Like I have to, instead of just being taken every which way with every blow of the wind, with all of these feelings and emotions and everything, to open with the keys, through previous retreats that we talk about keys being needs. So when I feel myself through these new feelings or faculties, when I feel a new sort of blow, I'll just say, or change, then I can consciously choose to observe it and see what the need is that it points to. And then once I have that awareness of what the need is, then I can unlock through the need a name that best suits that, almost like a call and an answer, or a key and a treasure. There's like two puzzles that come together, or two pieces that come together to make a more clear picture that we're seeing now in the third, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yes, thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I mean, the sense of justice that could be included among all this.
Yes.
Justice, we have a sense of both seeking justice and appreciating justice. So this could be a faculty. You mentioned earlier the faculty of imagination, right? Some things we can anticipate them in imagination. You don't have to go.
Even like something simple, like knowing. We have curiosity. We want to know. Knowing is a faculty. It's a very important faculty. And as Sarah said, like something that we always repeat, that Imam Nursi also explains in many different places. The key here, the faculties, is the need behind, because every faculty is connected to a need. I know through my need of knowing, as Isra, you just said, we seek justice. It means we have a need for justice. It means we are made to dislike, we feel unsettled when there is injustice. We have a need for knowing. To the extent that I feel the need for knowing, we call it curiosity or whatever it is, but that's a very important faculty, for instance. And all these faculties are connected to the most beautiful names of God. I think you can go backward and find the faculties.
Literally,
Isra.
Literally, it's jihazat in the Ottoman Turkish. So jihazat, it could also be rendered as tools. So any kind of internal tool we have, I mean, our capacity to connect with.
We call them faculties.
Love,
yeah.
Needing love, needing compassion, and giving it, like all of these capacities, these tools are meant to be used as keys to divine names.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sure. The more we become aware of them, the more our world is going to be, it's like from an egg to the real thing, hatching from the egg. Subhanallah.
Speaking of hatching, what came to my mind with the third is the particular language that was used here.
In the poem of
no, the third aim that we're reading. It seemed to me like to be very like passive language. So it's not even active effort at this point, but the only activity it seems is this consciousness that comes, and then there's a displaying happening, and then even the word make known through your life. Also, this language was used. I wanted to point it out.
There is action being taken here, but this action is an action in a state of surrender, in a state of surrendering to the divine will. And so in order to surrender to the divine will, we have to first become aware of the divine will. For instance, when we see someone in need and we are in a position to help, if I just say, oh, who is going to help now? I don't want to help. Even if it feels bad, especially in the beginning, unless I become a veteran and not helping, then it won't disturb me, because I would have like numbed my senses. So I'm not talking about that. What I'm doing is I'm not surrendering to the divine will there. So here, but if someone is helping, readily helping, very sincerely, they are surrendering to the divine will, but they are not conscious that they are surrendering to the divine will. So here there are two things going on. There is there is action going on as well, but as you say, the passivity is from being aware, being conscious of surrendering. And so I'm aware that I'm not the doer, I'm caused to do.
Another thing that came to my mind, because I love the word ikra. So like for me, the faculties is like, is what you said, like the need to know. And so when Allah says, "Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaqa khalaqa al-insana min alaq," and then it comes to "Iqra wa rabbuka al-akram." Yani, so read this, like, you know, read, and your Lord is the most generous. And then God does not say what is it, like, you know, there's almost a missing thing that we need to fill in. And then it goes to "Allama al-insana ma lam ya'lam." He taught the human beings what they could not know on their own. Like, so it's like that there's things that we cannot know on their own, but there's a missing, I feel the missing thing that we fill in is that "Iqra wa rabbuka al-akram." Why is Allah al-akram? Because he made us, he created us with the need to know. Our elevated status is the status that we have a need to know. That status, the need to know, is the key. Like for me, that's the key to connect, because that, like, you know, I don't think like animals need to know that, like, you know, they make sense, they're connecting, but this like the need to know, the need to know what is behind this, the need to understand the meaning, the need for things to have a meaning, like, you know. So maybe animals, like they all always tested us, those Pavlov dog, like, you know, do this, like after certain times he learns. But the meaning, the dog is not trying to figure out the meaning. He's trying to figure out the connection. Like when this happens, like he's trying to get the comments, like, how should I react with this? But for human beings, Allah is the most generous because he gave us the need to find meaning. And that his generosity came in that he gave us guidance to find this meaning, because there was no way that we could have found it on our own. So those faculties that Jalila was speaking about, the regular faculties, they cannot help us get there. Like, you know, the reasoning is what helped Prophet Ibrahim get there, like the reasoning of trying to find meaning. Like, I see the sun come and go, I see the star come and go, this is bigger, this lights up, but what is the meaning? Like, you know, why do they leave? Could I live with a God that leaves? That search for meaning, which then Allah is teaching us, Iqra, like the whole Quran is our way to read the meaning, like this is how you get the meaning. You know, and then there is the beautiful verse where Allah says, "Sanuqri'uka fala tansa," Surah Al-A'la, that we now recite in like Witr, like, you know, that Allah will make us, like he'll make it easy for us, like, you know, to read, and we won't be forgetful. So Surah Al-A'la now, if you think about today, I was thinking about it, it will have a new meaning, like, you know, that like we're being created with the need to know. God's generosity is that he gave us the way to know, and the more we do it, it will be made yusra, it will be made easier for us, like that reading of the meaning will be made easy for us. Wallahu
a'lam. What is important there is when you said the need to know, because sometimes I hear people talking about like human being is superior to other animals because he knows. Then you miss the point. You see what I mean? And then we won't understand al-akram, the generosity of our Rabb, because the point is not that we know, but that we have that potential to know, and then through the need to know. If we stay at knowing, then it seems like human being is superior to animals because he knows. And then from there, we can't go to God. The faculties are not yet keys. Shall we, if you have other comments, questions, please go ahead. Otherwise, we can maybe end up with Surah Al-Shams, the first verses. So just to remember each time what our context is.
Okay, before that, I wanted to highlight this idea of exhibition of
Oh, yes.
one. So this world as an exhibition, a display ground where we display manifestations of beautiful names of God. That's a really profound way of looking at life. It
And
is,
it's also repeated in the Risale, you know.
yeah, and so, and then these arts and subtle manifestations, they're so numerous. Like human beings have so many different capacities, and then some people have, or at least it seems to me that they have certain gifts. Like, you know, some people are good in leadership, some people are good in designing, some people are good in, you know, beauty, making things beautiful. Some are, you know, into more wisdom, and the places where they are most gifted, we call it gifted, right? That they shine more easily. And the person who's gifted in music, that person, of course, does his music practice and so on, but that it comes easy to that person. Or, you know, somebody who has another gift, or people have more than one gift. Basically, all of these sophisticated capacities and arts, it says arts and subtle manifestations, these are not there to say, hi, you know, I'm great. You know, we say, oh, I'm great, I did a great job. So it's not there so that you show off or you think you're great. You aren't. You don't even know how it's coming to you, right? Then to see it as part of, I mean, it's very meaningful to say that, well, I don't know how this is happening to me, but this is happening. I find myself doing this. And then we have a choice over how we manifest it. To consciously display is the, as you said, the key here. To choose to manifest this as pointing to the beautiful names, whether it's wisdom or beauty or power. To see human aim as part of this, human life having this aim is very profound. Otherwise, we have all these skills for some reason, and then somebody comes along and says, we don't know why we have the sense, this, that, because, you know, it's not essential for survival. It just completely misses the point of why we are here. We are here to display these beautiful names of God in our own.
Not only it misses the point, but it also feeds the ego. It reminds me of in Surah Al-Furqan, Surah 24, Surah 25, we are told, أرأيت من اتخذ إلهه هواه أفأنت تكون عليه وكيلا. أرأيت من اتخذ إلهه هواه is important. Have you seen or have you considered the one who takes his own desires, his own passion, and makes it into ilah, into a deity, into something to worship? And the pursuit of that self-fulfillment becomes the goal of life, as if it's what gives meaning to the life of that person. And so we are told for that person, do you think that these people يسمعون أو يعقلون, do you think they hear, they listen, and they use their reason, or they reason? And here it says, إن هم إلا كالأنعام بل هم أضل سبيلا. They are, in fact, they are only, you think they listen or they reason. No, they are in fact just like cattle, or even more misguided, more, worse off, let's say. And then right after, it starts telling us who our Rabb is. This is what he does, this is what he does, this is what he does. How can you think you are doing it and you are worshiping yourself? You made yourself into a Rabb means, if I can do things, it means I'm proclaiming myself as a doer, a creator, as a God. And then right after it starts Alam Tara. I love Alam Tara. Don't you see that it is your Rabb, ila Rabbika, kaifa, how he creates this, how he does this, how he does this. Yeah, Subhanallah.
I'm just going to repeat this because it's something so beautiful. It's profound that the conscious activity, the only action that we are being guided to do is to, this word surrender, like we use so much, but since Sunday, I've been thinking about it since our Ramadan feast. It's just not owning whatever it is that we're feeling. Like we're talking about faculties and I have, a need to know or a need for this or a feeling that comes. And this concept of surrendering, it's, if we, like without some sort of experiential words to sort of give it instruction of how to do that, I kept asking, like, how is it? How do I surrender right now? And it seemed like something so hard to do. Like when you're stuck, when you find ourselves stuck, it's like, I don't even know how to, like, how did we even do for like in a small period of weeks.
That's you just said it in the very beginning, that consciousness, that acknowledgement is like suddenly it's dark and suddenly you put the light on. It's not dark anymore. You acknowledge that it's not mine. I have a need for it. It just means it's not mine. It is a gift unto me.
I literally had to just be like, I'm owning this feeling. Like, that's what I did wrong this whole time, is I thought this need was mine. And then all of a sudden, when that realization comes, it's like the light, like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it becomes like there was a burden, and actually it was all in my imagination. Subhanallah.
And I love the way it says the divine names have attached to you. So when I don't own, then it's like, oh, okay, alhamdulillah, it's nothing that has to do with me. It's like, oh, then you see, then all of a sudden it's like, it's made known to you, like the words say, like that passivity comes when you just realize you not to own. I guess that's the action in my words that comes to me. It's like, don't own. And then all of a sudden you'll find,
that's giving back the amana to its owner, being aware that it is a trust only, it's not mine. Or because when I am appropriating it, I'm stealing, actually, claiming that it's mine when it's not. Yeah.
Regarding the passivity, I was reading a passage from Surah Yusuf the other day, and we did Surah Yusuf, we journeyed into Surah Yusuf.
Maybe it was our first
while yes, with Dr. Yamina. So one of the interesting things about passivity there, we noted, for instance, when Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, he's thrown into the prison, and then eventually the king wants him out of the prison. He says, before I come out, I would like them to check back with this accusation I had before, basically. And they check back, and the wife of the vizier, the woman who accused him, comes out, and she says, actually, I wanted to, like he didn't try to seduce me, I tried to seduce. And she confesses, and she says, I did wrong. And then there, Yusuf alayhi salam, he says, this is so that it be known that God doesn't make the unjust, I'm paraphrasing, unjust prosper. I wanted it to be known that God doesn't make the unjust prosper. And then he goes on to say, I'm not saying it for myself. It's not about absolving myself. It's about manifesting one of the names of God, maybe justice there. I want people to see, not say that, oh, who's the guy who tries to seduce the women, and then he had the skill of interpreting dreams. He's out and now he's a leader. No, I don't want people to. So I think to me, it's a very nice example of passivity, because I would think, passivity means he don't say anything. He would just go with the flow. No, he says, no, I'm not coming out. I want this to be cleared first. That's an action. When we studied it, I think we said it's a dignified action. He's like, I'm not coming out. So he's taking action, but it isn't in the name of himself. It's not about manifesting his goodness or his innocence. It's about, and he said, I don't actually absolve myself. It's about showing in a glimpse of divine name at that point, that God doesn't make the unjust prosper. I want people to see this name. But it is easier to manifest these qualities if we are able to realize it is the focus, that I am here to manifest divine beauty. I'm not here to absolve myself, or somebody said to build the image. I'm not here for that, even though it may seem like so. It may take a very active appearance or not. The passivity comes from that recognition of these qualities are not from me. I want justice, but not because I am the source of justice or I am perfect. I never made a mistake. It's about the justice wants to manifest, in this particular case, through me. So take a look ahead of what's coming.
Can I ask a question, Isra, before we move on?
No, I'm not moving on. Just 1 second. Just wanted to see after the 9th what happens. In the future, it will go on a bit more, and then it ends with coming back to Surah Shams, and okay, so and at least another session or two more to go. But yes, this is Aya.
So like Yamina, you were mentioning al-amana, so the amana is, not to own the divine names of God that are attached to us. And then, so now I want you to take this, take this sort of equation and then put it on, عرضنا الأمانة, the famous ayah that God has given the amana to heavens and earth, and they refused to take it, but the human, he took it. And little did he know, he transgressed against himself and was didn't know anything when he took it. So how can I understand this ayah with this meaning?
This ayah with this meaning?
Mm-hmm.
You can go and read the 30th.
Okay.
So 30th word.
Okay, 30th word. I put it down here. Okay, thank you.
And that's what we said, inshallah, we can, after the 11th, we can go to the 30th.
Yes, it seems like it would be one that I'm really interested in knowing, inshallah.
And it is related to the 7th here. In this page here, the 7th.
I mean the 7th point of the
yes.
of the 11th. Yes. Okay, the 7th point. Okay. Thank you.
And there, Imam Nursi understands the verse as saying that not that human beings shouldn't have taken the amana, but human being tends to forget the gravity of the amana. So dhulum and jahula refers to the situation where human being betrays a trust, not to the fact that he took on the trust. So it isn't about human beings shouldn't have taken this. It's more like, it's so momentous, you want to not betray this. This is not a small, it's not a joke. This is a major.
Well, we betray it when we are unaware of it.
And then we are dhuluma and jahula. I mean, we could say it's the default state because we start unaware. I just thought, one that I
remember that Yusuf alayhi salam was a child when the story starts. So we become responsible for our choices at a certain age, but it doesn't mean that before we cannot or we don't understand what's going on. We just are given some time to figure things out. But someone can be righteous from childhood, because as children, we are aware that we are making choices. We do make choices, except that since we don't have enough experience, we are told, okay, make your choices, find out the consequences, figure out what's going on, and then you become responsible for the consequences of your choices.
So in the story that Isra reminded us of with Prophet Yusuf, like the reason that he did not just come out of prison and he stopped and said, I have a need for the truth to be manifested and for, like, to be known that righteous people or people who follow the path of God are righteous because of his appreciation of the gravity of the trust. So like he sort of is like, he could have went out and said that in, later on in person, but because of that appreciation that he had, he made a big deal out of it.
Not direct. Yeah, I mean, but it's in the case of Yusuf alayhi salam, because he's a muhsin, he's been described as a muhsin again and again in the surah. So because he does not betray the trust, he has this attitude. But the attitude itself is not directly, I would say, it's indirectly, it's a consequence of that. I think she's talking about when he says ذلك ليعلم أني لم أخنه بالغيب وأن الله لا يهدي كيد الخائنين.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So he's saying this is so that he knows that I have not betrayed him. So probably he's talking about the master, that he did not betray him behind his back. وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَهْدِي كَيْدَ الْخَائِنِينَ, and that God does not, how do you say, guide the kaid, the mischief, the schemes maybe of the treacherous. The treacherous are أَخُنْهُ خَائِن, those who betray the trust. But here he's saying God does not guide those who betray the trust. The trust here is a trust between people, but if someone betrays the trust between people, if someone does not betray the trust with God, he won't betray the trust with people. So here it's also related to number 2 and 3 as well, you could say. Because he's acting in the name of God, and he wants it to make known that he is acting, that his integrity is from God as well. So they are all related, of course. This is, from another aspect, we can say that this whole process, 1, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, and everything, is the process of إعادة الأمانة, how you say, to hand over the trust back to its real owner.
I was thinking, I know we need to close soon, but I was thinking the other day, like some of the tendencies seem to be very, very difficult to work with, you know. So I'm thinking about, like, I tend to micromanage things. So I was like, you know, this is sad, you know. I want to control things and really know, be informed, and really have the micromanaging, you know. And yet, you know, it doesn't work. You can't control things. Plus, you have the burden of being stressed. I was like, you know, it's sad that I have this tendency. And then I said, okay, wait a second. I'm here to display beautiful names. This class came to mind. So there must be something in it. So what is becoming a burden is not the fact that I have certain tendencies, but because
it's your use of them, what you're making of them.
Yeah, these guys, you know, you take them.
The purpose of the
out of purpose, yes, to a scale that is as if you are, you know, like, let's say maybe the person has a capacity to, well, I actually don't have that quite, but, you know, like, someone might be micromanaging, but then that person may also have a good, it's essentially a good attribute because he's managing and organizing things, yeah. But then if he wants to overdo, like, micromanaging becomes a negative, it's a negative thing, because your managing skills, you want to pretend you can control everything, and there's so many things you can't control, and then you get overwhelmed and you tighten the things. I shared this before. One of my colleagues kept reminding me what I signed up for, and I finally told him, like, look, why are you reminding me? I'm not a child. I signed up for this task. I'm going to do it. Don't tell me the day of this task, remember you signed up for it. Like, did I ever, you know, not do what I told you to do? I mean, we don't do too many things in the department anyway. And he said, you know, I'm sorry, you know, I micromanage. So, but he's actually a very good colleague and does goods really well, things very well, really kind of fine-tuned. But then this is just an example of how I guess the burden comes not because we're trying to do something, but because we're trying to do it with our consciousness, and we think I am going to be the controller of things, you know.
It comes with the stress and the anxiety and the fear, because deep down we know that there's so many things that are out of our control that we can't do anything about.
And that becomes overwhelming. That becomes, you know, very stressful, because, but whereas the person can say, well, I have this need and also capacity to organize. I say, let's do this way so that this could happen. You know, this. So
it becomes a prayer in words, a prayer with need, a prayer with action.
Can take precautions, can make plans, you know, project ideas, and so very nice. But this is not so that you are you take things under control. You don't even know what's happening in your body. Millions of things are happening in your body right now. You don't know. How dare you think you can control a situation, a department, or I mean, a house, you know, a relationship? You can't. So. You know, it is already in second and third, these ideas, but I think it will be unfolding more. Just wanted to put it out there that passivity comes in places that maybe we don't expect. The passivity is not like, I'm not going to control, I'm not going to do any plans, and I'm not going to, you know, manage anything. No, it is about the way you do it. And then because
in a state of passivity, even my action,
passivity, maybe, yeah,
there is a state of act. And actually Imam Nursi, rahimahullah, he says that in the 30th word, when he talks about the amana, there are two attitudes of the I, and one of them is the active, the doing, and that's the one who is betraying the amana, and the one who is passive and is aware of being a recipient, a receiver.
It comes to my mind only because I'm doing the Bismillah crash course from Sister Yamina's deep tafsir, and so it's beautiful to revisit that. And mashallah, Aliyah had told me a long time ago, Sarah, your task will be, when I was struggling with motherhood, your task will be Al-Fatiha, Bismillah. And Isra, what came to my mind as you were talking, even about like managing or needing to regulate and manage and order, which are all beautiful names. The beauty of Bismillah is it's a prayer, but it only comes when we pause and have a deep reflective experience. And that pause for me is like almost impossible unless we really seriously practice it. And in Dr. Yamina's series, it was she said that the hadith that anything that does not start with Bismillah is cut off from good, and cut off abtar, or like devoid of barakah. And the barakah is this passivity of channeling, and then all of a sudden you find it got done. Wow, how did it was so peaceful, almost like there was a more abundance of time, and it was an ease, it was a flowing. It's a totally different experience. Oh, like motherhood is a chaotic, there's a constant screaming, mama, it's just chaos. And so without the meditation, the whole day is pure chaos, in nonstop chaos. But with the meditation, I can just hear the chaos and just take a moment to just like what needs to be done, and listen. And like I'm listening to what's being said, like, oh, he needs to eat, he needs to be changed. And then I'll just go slowly, Bismillah. And everything is being done, but just so fluidly, as opposed to I need to. Really, the Bismillah in this series is so deep and incredible, because it's the difference between being the doer and being the one who observes Bismillah doing, because I prayed for it through Bismillah.
Thank you for sharing. Actually, the next step, instead of saying again and again chaos, because the more you say it's chaos, the more likely you are going to perceive it as chaos, and then there will be a little bit of trying to make an effort to be present in the name of God, Bismillah. But how about do not put a name on it, do not label it. Who said it's chaos? It's just flowing. It's just this beautiful child is growing. You will miss him when he will grow and become 7 and 8 and then 10 and 15. You will miss that toddler baby. So all those, when he calls and cries and things, someone else may see it as music, as joy, so instead of putting a label on it, just take that and say, I'm open to receive whatever is being created and given to me right now is very meaningful. There is lots of wisdom and purpose in it, and that is beautiful. And let me see where the beauty is.
So beautiful. Thank you, mashallah. Big difference.
I like, mashallah, Sarah, you always call your baby the little human being. So I love when you call him that, the little human being. So like, so you already have like, you already have a very mindful perspective of him. So that little human being is giving you like, mindful opportunities. Like there's so many, and they're flowing too fast. And I'm just quickly gonna regress quickly because it just came to me. One of my friends was telling me about a time where she felt things were going chaotically. She's a speech pathologist. She was in a nursing home facility, and her caseload was like, was overwhelming that day, and she was late, and people were coming, and she couldn't put anything. So she was calling her daughter and on the phone and panicking, saying, please take this out and put this in, and you do this, I'm late already, and these people are coming, and and she was breathing fast. And then when she finished the phone call, this elderly lady who always dresses up and puts on her makeup and when walks just the whole way, just came to her and smiled and said, you just are suffering from an abundance of blessings, that because that lady realized it, had the need for being busy and having many things to do, and she looked at her and smiled, so you can call them flowing blessings, the new opportunities that are coming my way, but
and we are on a journey, and this is a beautiful little companion.
That's a very nice way to put it.
To digress further, I look back how I was so much stressed when Isa was young, and look back his pictures. He was so cute, but at the time I had like, this is missing and this is not right and this is not right. So I think it could be changed. I hopefully you're not as crazy as I was, but you could be less stressed or more peaceful. But I think there's something, if I may say, there's something about grandchildren that the Quran mentions children and grandchildren, and everybody says grandchildren are sweeter. So maybe it's okay that children are a bit little, a bit stressed.
It's about gratitude. وَلَئِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. Just like we say apply to everything, start applying to your child. You know, just focus on what you really enjoy about this child and be just grateful, just grateful, just grateful. Everything else, it doesn't mean disappears, but what you focus on is going to grow, and everything else will recess in the background, and it will seem much smaller than otherwise. When we focus on something we don't like, it's not going to change, but we are making it have a bigger impact on us. It becomes more burdenous. And so this, the miracle of gratitude is just beautiful. And you are cultivating your living in the presence of God, because when you are grateful to God. Alhamdulillah, you created this. And I appreciate it. And after a while, even those things that we don't like so much, in the beginning, they are not a burden anymore. Eventually, we will start feeling that they also have things to teach us, things that we were not aware of. We will be made to find some beautiful names manifesting, displaying themselves in those situations as well. So just intent, and alhamdulillah, this is an opportunity. It won't come again. With this child, this is a unique opportunity. Yeah. Every day is a unique gift.
Yeah, and efficiency is defined as witnessing that. Efficiency is not about, how clean the house is, or did I do this XYZ task. I have a child who's happy and safe and has been fed and changed imperfectly, doesn't matter, but that's the task. And I'm seeing this new being manifesting names.
Names are being manifested through my relationship with him.
Yeah. Efficiency in witnessing the names of God that we're meant to wish. So that's a new way of measuring efficiency, because usually
going back to here, the second and the third, how much are we fulfilling these steps? Inshallah. Yeah, we will be asked, Man Rabbuk, we won't be asked, did you cook well? Did you do this? Didn't you do that?
Yeah. Alhamdulillah. Yeah. Inshallah, may Allah make us grateful in whatever circumstances He places us. That's the two aims: being grateful and seeing the names and manifesting them. Inshallah, we can all do it. Inshallah.
Inshallah, shall we stop here?
Okay, inshallah, we stop here then.
So next time, inshallah, we can start again with the Surat al-Shams, so we can get again a sort of context for what we are reading and studying and reflecting on together, inshallah. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وارنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه استغفر الله استغفر الله استغفر الله العظيم الرحيم الكريم الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم ونتوب إليه سبحانه. آمين والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. لله الفاتحة. آمين والحمد لله رب العالمين. في أمان الله. May you all stay in God's protection. فالله خير حافظا وهو أرحم الراحمين. He is the best of protectors, the most merciful, the merciful.
Jazakallah khair, Dr. Yamina and Zara and everyone else who joined and contributed. And join us, inshallah, on Sunday for Ramadan feast. We have Sister Naima presenting on surrender. And
Thank you so much. Salaam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Amanillah.
be blessed for all of us. Let's pray for each other.
And may the last 10 days of Ramadan be even more blessed, blessing upon blessing, light upon light, inshallah, to everyone. Fi amanillah. Assalamu alaikum.